Hello, I'm Bill Say, and in this talk, I want to share with you two really vital steps in a group process, and these are sorting and consensus. Now, your group could be an organizational team, it could be a family, it could be a community group, any group that you're interested, you're part of, you're working with as a consultant or facilitator, etc. So sorting, what is sorting? In the process work paradigm, sorting just means it's an invitation to people to say what they want to explore. And these might be issues of concern, could be inviting people to say what they want out of a group. It could be asking them to name the issue that they want to see addressed in by the group, in and by the group. So this is a really important step because for many groups of different sorts, they haven't necessarily done this step. So what it does is it gets important information and issues out on the table, out in the open and visible. And for example, in organizational settings, um, many times people will say, well, at least now the issue has been cannot be denied because it's out there in the open, it's been named publicly, etc. So, with that kind of importance, one of the also unfortunately not uncommon things that can come up for people in different settings is they don't necessarily feel safe to say what's on their mind, to name the issues of concern. And lack of safety can happen at at different levels to different degrees, but it could be a sense of emotional unsafety. It could be a sense of like a physical unsafety or something to do with job security. For example, in a given organization, for example, members may be afraid to really say what they think because they're afraid of retaliation, they're afraid of losing their jobs. So sometimes for example, if you're a facilitator working with a group or an organization, you may have to do some preliminary research and interviewing of different members to find out, is the climate safe enough to really uh, address and talk about and explore issues of importance. But that said, if there is safety enough, the step of sorting is a really important thing to do. And in many situations, when people are starting to name the issues that are on their mind, name the issues that interest and concern them, it's really important, for example, to write them down. So write them down on a big piece of paper, and then, especially for organizations, I invite them to keep a record of these issues because not infrequently, these issues aren't just momentary ones, but they're at least medium term or long term issues that the group may want to continue exploring or keeping in mind. That's like this is maybe not the issue today for today, but it will be tomorrow. Let's see what else about sorting. Yeah, so one of the things that comes up is as the facilitator, can you invite and welcome and acknowledge the different issues that come? Because sometimes, either, particularly like if we're part of the group, we may have our own preferences or biases that could make it such that we find one issue more interesting or more important than another. But as the facilitator, if you're hoping or aspiring to be more relatively neutral, it's important to honor all the issues and try to get them reflected in an accurate enough way. And sometimes, if a person names an issue, in some kind of a lengthy way, it's important to at least get a clear enough summary. So if I'm not sure, so I'll say, "Listen, that was a lot that you said. It would sound really important, but this is how I've summarized it. Is that close enough?" And then sometimes the person will kind of adjust or correct it so that it's an accurate enough reflection of what they're stating. Um, yeah, so that process is of like welcoming, holding, framing, and then documenting, writing down the issues is really important. And again, for many groups, this is an unusual step. Sometimes it's a really important step because people see, oh my gosh, these are the issues that my team or my family members been thinking about. I didn't know, or I knew a little bit, but now I know much more what's on people's minds. So it's a really important step. Now, a further step is what's can be thought of as like agreement or a consensus of sorts to explore one of the issues. So let's say there's 10 issues named, but you want to go a little further in this group meeting. You may try different consensus methods to try to see, is there one issue that the group would like to start off with, for example, discussing. And one method that I've used actually involves a kind of a pre-step, which is the framing. And this doesn't work with every group, but it often works with the understanding that, particularly if the meetings are going to be, ongoing, that um, the consensus is a temporary agreement to explore a given issue, knowing that the other issues are also important and they will hopefully also have their day. So that's like the kind of the pre kind of framing statement or construct that I often use with a group. And then I'll do something really simple, which is let's say there's 10 different issues that have been named. I'll just read through them one by one and then ask people to raise their hand, and they can vote more than once. Sometimes I say, well, you can vote more than once. And then also, raise your hand to the degree that you're interested in that issue. And sometimes just to get a sense of where the energy is, I also say, and if you feel comfortable, make a sound that also indicates how interested or excited you are about that topic. So if people raise their hand, they also go, ooh. And then you get a sense sometimes where, oh, this issue is actually the one where a lot of the energy is. And then, of course, sometimes not that many people vote, but maybe one person is really loud. So you also have to take that into consideration. And then you might have to do it a couple times because let's say out of the 10 issues, maybe three issues kind of got a somewhat of a close or somewhat equal amount of interest. Then you might go a second round with just those three issues. And then you say, this time people can only vote once. But again, let's do the hand and also your voice so we really get a sense where the votes are and also where the energy is. And I find that that method can often be a relatively simple, direct, and even quick way to gain at least temporary consensus to focus on the given issue. So, those are two really important steps in a group process. Again, you can consider them as important steps if you're having a family meeting, a team meeting, your community group is meeting, and you want to really see what does the group really need to explore, and then you can take these two steps with them, and then you have that issue. And then in future videos, we'll talk about how to start to explore that issue. Okay. Thanks for listening. Okay. Bye bye.